Good afternoon, everybody. My name is DeShara Doub, and I am the founder and chief executive officer of Vision of Promise LLC. And thank you so much for tuning in to our second of 3 installments of educational videos for Mental Health Awareness Month. So whether you are watching this live or watching the replay, definitely share this information with your loved ones and your friends. You can definitely click the share button. Go ahead and support Vision of Promise LLC in our work in trying to debunk and demystify mental health services. Also, go ahead and like our Facebook page, Vision of Promise LLC, and we also have an Instagram as well. So definitely your support and your shares are greatly appreciated. So let's go ahead and get started in talking about how to deal with stress. Now, this is going to be an honest conversation, and I think it's very important for all of us to really lean in on what we are personally experiencing when it comes to stress. Many of us are guilty of many of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today, including myself. Just because I'm a mental health professional don't mean that at times I need to check my own pulse, and I need to realize the things that are causing me stress and to definitely attend to that. So all the things that I'm going to talk to you about today are things that I have personally dealt with, as well as many of the clients that I've had. So again, please make sure that you share this content and like our Facebook and Instagram pages. So in all honesty, how many of you have felt overwhelmed, felt like you didn't have no more energy for family, friends, loved ones, work, relationships? Even you didn't even have enough energy to give to yourself. How many of us? I'm raising my hand because I'm guilty of it as well. A lot of times we get so overwhelmed with life that sometimes we don't even know how we got here, right? What are the things that cause us this type of stress, this type of worry? A lot of times, especially this time of year, we are in a season of students that have just graduated from their programs. And again, congratulations to each of you all. How exciting. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to adulthood. Welcome to living within your destiny, living within your purpose. But it's a very stressful time for a lot of people. I can recall when I graduated, right after graduation, I was worrying about hunting for jobs. I was worried about taking exams, right, to prepare to get into the mental health field. A lot of mental health professionals are in the thick of exams right now, either studying for them or preparing to take them. Many of us in the corporate realm are kind of getting close to our end of the year, right? So people are stressing out about getting those reports done, completing those last minute audits and budgets, and summarizing the year, and trying to get improvements upon the next year to come. So many people, even though it's spring, it's nice outside, people are kind of getting the dark cloud of a possible seasonal depression kind of lingering off of them, and it's starting to be warm and sunny, and people are having a lot of hopes and possibilities. That can come with a lot of stress, right? Many of us deal with stress in many different realms. Sometimes it's just the overwhelm and the stress of even just being an adult, right? Worrying about bills, worrying about how we're going to make ends meet. Maybe we're a caregiver and we're taking care of a loved one. Maybe we're just trying to just manage life, right? Manage balancing our work and our personal life, our relationships. Many different things can cause many of us stress. And so I think it's important today in particular to kind of demystify talking about stress, because all of us deal with it. I have even found as well that even children deal with stress, and it can come in many different forms. Sometimes it's, I have a headache. How many of us can relate to that? We wake up and just are not feeling our best. Maybe we're having some stomach issues. Maybe we're having aches and pains that are increased more than usual. And to be perfectly honest, many of us just wake up and say, you know what? I'm just not feeling it today. Stress can manifest itself in many different ways for many of us. And so I think it's important to begin to start having those discussions about what causes stress, right? Where is this coming from? Because I'm sure none of us want to be stressed out, right? None of us want to get to the point where we can't function and we can't continue with our life. So a lot of times, I think one of the reasons why many of us get overwhelmed and stressed is because we're not getting enough sleep. Now, how many of us, and we can be completely honest in this, again, I am being vulnerable with you, but you are behind the comfort of a phone or a computer. So just ask your own self and really assess yourself honestly. How many of us can truly say that we get uninterrupted quality sleep? Not many. Right? And what does uninterrupted quality sleep look like? Okay, I am talking to you through a cell phone. We're in an age where technology is a 24/7 thing. A lot of us, say 5-10 years ago, didn't have such the technologies that we do today, that a lot of us turn off our phones at certain points in the times of the day, right? Ask yourself, when is the last time you turned off your phone? Like, honestly, not to reboot it, not to restart it, but just like turned it off for a period of time and left it alone. Not many of us. Many of us will start to panic if we left our phone at home, or left it on the charger at work, or left it in the car and we went to a location. Many of us are so dependent on our phone. But the reality is, a lot of times the phone, not only with the noises that it makes, whether it's the buzzing sound of it being on vibrate, whether it's the volume being turned on so you're getting notifications, but even the sheer light that comes from phones can prohibit you from getting quality sleep. And so I encourage clients, which again, this can be such a drastic move for many of us, but I encourage people to charge your phone in another location outside of your bedroom. And I know that could be virtually impossible for people, because again, even the anxiety of, well, what if somebody calls me in the middle of the night? What if I miss something? A lot of us use our phones for our alarms. Right? So just the sheer reliance that we have on phones a lot of times causes us not to be able to sleep. So I know a lot of cell phone carriers and a lot of manufacturers have the do not disturb option or the sleep option. Sometimes people use it, sometimes they don't. But if you feel like that you can't completely get rid of your phone, I would definitely encourage you to use that feature and actually turn the phone face down. That way you're not being interrupted by, if a notification comes through and a light starts to blink on your phone, it actually is face down. So hopefully that will increase your ability to, get some sleep. Also, how many of us watch TV before we go to sleep? I'm guilty, right? And many of us actually have been raised with the TV on while we're trying to go to sleep, whether it was sometimes people have fear of complete darkness. Sometimes people need some type of distraction or something in the background. But a lot of times, again, television, not only the noise but the light can really cause your sleep to be disrupted. And so I would definitely encourage you to not only engage in quality uninterrupted sleep, but figure out what is around you that could be causing your sleep to not be as peaceful, right? So the phone and the television can be one. It also can be maybe the light coming into your bedroom. Sometimes people have to have blackout curtains, because depending on where you are, sometimes if you're sleeping a little bit later, you can have a lot of light coming into your room that can interrupt your sleep, because most of us, whether we get woken up by an alarm or get woken up by the birds chirping or light in, most of our bodies know when it's time to get up, whether and sometimes our body just gets adjusted to it, right? So it could depend on if it starts to get dark or if it starts to get light. That can definitely interrupt kind of the pattern of our sleep. So I'll definitely encourage you, if you have one of those rooms that brings in a lot of light, you might want to consider getting blackout curtains. Then that way you can have a completely dark space that you can be able to sleep well. Another thing that I will tell you when it comes to sleeping is sometimes people need things that can kind of help them to unwind with sleep. So if that means reading a book, If that means maybe trying a meditation app or some type of calming relaxation, whether it's music, it could be instrumental, it can be a guided meditation. I found those to be very helpful, particularly if you are trying to adjust yourself from having a lot of noise and a lot of light in your sleep. That can definitely help you to calm down and to definitely get your mind and your body ready for sleep. But I think that when you don't get enough sleep, that is absolutely anxiety provoking. It's absolutely. If you don't get enough sleep, no matter what goes on in the day, because the reality is we can't ignore or avoid stress. It comes. And so one of the things that we have to do is prepare for when that stress comes, prepare for how do we manage to deal with those situations. So again, one of the things I encourage you is to definitely determine and really assess if your sleep is quality and if your sleep is actually the time that you need. Some of us need the full 8 hours of sleep, even 9 hours for some, or longer. Some people just need short spurts of sleep and they could be able to stay up for long extended periods of time. Definitely getting to know your body and what it needs in order for you to rest is something that I think that is extremely important for you to monitor. Now, a lot of us professionals, this is going to hit a nerve, what I'm about to say, but it's honest. A lot of us deal with anxiety when it comes to work, whether we're working for ourselves, working for somebody else. Just the sheer manner in trying to ensure that we are making ends meet can bring anxiety and stress for a lot of people, right? So how many of us truly take time off? Be honest with yourself. And when I mean take time off, not just say, oh, I'm not going to work today, but also not occupying yourself with other things that you need to do. Like, oh, this is going to be the day I'm going to run all these errands, or this is the day I need to, I need to clean up at home. I need to do all this laundry. I need to do, X, Y, and Z errand. How many people truly take off of work to sleep in or to take a vacation? That's a nice way to relieve some stress. But how many of us truly use that time? I'm sure not many. And I think that the realism and the reality of taking time off is dependent on your job. Sometimes people have to be really strategic around how much time they can take off or when they can take it off, because you might not have enough time. You might want to extend some holidays. You might have something specifically planned in the year that can take up all your time. It's a lot of factors, and I definitely understand that, but I think it's really important when you have days off to really take that time off. Not running errands, not occupying yourself and overwhelming yourself with other things that haven't been done, but truly relaxing, truly finding those things you enjoy. I think one of the things that's important about taking time off, even if you can't physically do it with, say, your work demands, but I think taking time off from certain things that can cause stress is something that's important. So the common thing that people think about taking time off of is work, right? But how many of us unplug from social media? Again, not many of us. And I am guilty of this. I'm talking to you through social media, right? So I think that it can be a challenge for a lot of people, because some people utilize social media for personal uses and also professional uses. And so what does unplugging from social media look like? Many of us are so accustomed and so routine in looking at social media. I know that there's a couple of apps out there that kind of monitor how frequently you're on social media pages. But I'm sure many of us, when we're not even thinking about it, just go ahead and press, say, Facebook, for example. Just go ahead and press the app just to see what's going on, scrolling through, and then next thing you know, we're on there for a couple minutes, couple of hours, going through, making comments, looking at videos and things like that. So I think it's important to definitely unplug for social media. How frequently you should do it is up to you. I think it's definitely important to take some time off, because as exciting as social media can be, it's an opportunity for a lot of people to, you know, keep in contact with loved ones, see what's going on in the world and things of that nature. Social media can also be a place that can cause a lot of stress, right? You seeing a lot of things that are sad. Unfortunately, to be completely transparent with you, in the recent, social media has been the place that I have found out, and many people have found out, that someone has died. Which, how unfortunate is that, and how stressful can that be, particularly if you know the person personally, particularly if you weren't contacted or notified before a post was had. That can be a stressful situation. Many of us can even deal with stress when it comes to looking at social media, because we have some things that we need to deal with internally, such as, you know, we might have some envy or some jealousy about somebody's lives. A lot of time people look on social media and you see the person with, you know, the body that you're trying to attain to, or they posting, you know, what they just bought, or the vacation that they're taking, or, you know, the mantra of living your best life, and, you know, they're taking all these beautiful glamorous pictures. And a lot of times people step back and they start to evaluate, like, well, why can't I have this in my life? Or why is this not going well for me? And so although you can be happy for other people, sometimes social media can cause a lot of people stress. So I definitely encourage people to decide how to unplug. It can be, you know, a day that you take each week to say, okay, I'm going to devote 1 hour just not to be on social media, to do something else. Or even when you're at the dinner table, like, instead of being on social media while you're eating, devote that time to just turn off your phone, so you could be able to actually eat and enjoy your food and actually relax. Those are things that is extremely important. Doing things that you enjoy. So again, many of us deal with a lot of anxiety when it comes to the things that's going on in our life. It could be things that we choose to be involved with, such as organizations, community service initiatives, different clubs, auxiliaries. These are things that are extracurricular, things that you don't necessarily have to do, right? But then we also have those things that maybe because of our life and our circumstances we can't avoid, such as going to work, such as maybe being a parent, maybe being a caregiver. A lot of those things can cause a lot of stress, and it can compound on top of each other if we don't attend to them. So I would definitely encourage you to find some things that you truly enjoy. These things can include anything from, you know, getting a pedicure, going and getting your favorite food, taking a nap. You know, a lot of us like to watch movies, or we like to, they say, binge watch shows. You know, watch a couple episodes of your favorite show, or devote a time that it takes to watch a particular movie to just watch it and enjoy it. Many times we don't give ourselves permission to enjoy things. A lot of us grew up in households and grew up in times where doing self-care was deemed selfish, right? You were being selfish because you were spending money, or you were going and doing something for yourself, and maybe the other people in your life wasn't engaged in it with you, or wasn't joining you in some of these things. And I think that a lot of those concepts are being switched now, where people are realizing the significance of self-care and the significance of really doing things that you enjoy. Now again, being completely transparent and completely real with you, a lot of times people's things that they enjoy cost money, right? Getting your nails done, getting a pedicure, getting your hair done, going on vacations, getting massages, going shopping. All these things can start adding up, right? So I think it's really important to, one, if you have secondary income, or if you have extra income, which means once you pay all your bills, you have maybe a little extra money, definitely budget to do something nice for yourself. You deserve it, right? And if you don't do it, who will? Many people have spouses or partners that, you know, they kind of rely on, or are the only people that really do things for them. But the reality is, when your spouse or your partner is overwhelmed, then you kick into high gear and try to do something for them, right? And a lot of times when you're doing those types of things, you can kind of forget about your needs. You can kind of forget about the things that is going to keep you motivated and keep you energized. And a lot of times your spouse or partner or family member or friend sometimes got their own stuff going on too, and a lot of times people are absent-minded. People forget things when they're going through their own stuff. And so I definitely encourage people to never rely on someone else when it comes to your self-care, and definitely budget and devote time to make sure that you're caring for yourself in an effective way. Again, stress is something that we can't avoid. Unfortunately, a lot of times stress comes when we least expect it. There could be something unexpectedly that happens in our life that can cause stress. We can be having a perfectly good day for a moment, and then something happens, or a thought comes up, and it could completely change the remaining of our day. And so I think it's important when we talk about finding things that you enjoy, it also means that it's mandatory. You know, the idea of mandatory, many of us know that word when it comes to paying bills or going to work, right? This is a deadline, or, you know, you must do this or else. We always get like the consequence, right, if we don't do something. But think about if you started to manage your self-care in that way. If I don't take care of myself, this is the result. Right? If I don't attend to the things that I need, if I don't personally start checking in with myself to make sure that I am getting enough sleep, that I actually ate today. How many of us have been so busy throughout days that we forget to eat? It happens, right? Especially for people that have so many other things going on. They play multiple different hats. You're a parent, you're a business person, you are a coach for a team, you do a community service, you're in this organization, you do this networking event. You can get really overwhelmed very easily, right? But how would it be if you shift your thinking and start considering, if I don't take care of my stress, if I don't schedule time or carve out time for myself, then what's going to happen? Well, let me be transparent with you. This is what can happen. You can start experiencing depression, sadness, tearfulness, unable to just function day to day. Sometimes you need too much sleep. You just want to rest. You want to just be away from people. Sometimes people limit the amount of time that they're sociable with other people. And again, this can depend on how you are as a person. Some people are introverted, which means that it takes a lot of energy for them to be around people, which means that they need a lot more time to recharge by being by themselves or being asleep. Okay, so some people are like that. But if you are, say, an extroverted person where you are the life of the party and you get a lot of energy being around people, and you start to notice that like your energy level is going low, that maybe you're not being as involved in things like you used to, you're starting to, they call isolate yourself, where you're starting to find yourself more and more at home, or desire to be more and more at home, you might want to start assessing what you might need, or if you might need to seek a professional such as a therapist or a counselor to kind of talk through those issues. A lot of times, if you feel like that you are experiencing depression, that can require you to contact your primary care physician, or you can contact, if you have a psychiatrist. They can assist you in finding an antidepressant that can be of a help to you. And that is nothing to be ashamed of. When I tell you, there is so many professionals and so many people that just need some extra assistance because they can't manage the stress on their own. They're so overwhelmed that it's starting to affect their day-to-day. That is something that is perfectly normal, and a lot of people have to get those that extra boost, that extra help to assist them in functioning. And so I would definitely inquire if you feel like that you're getting to that point where you're having low energy, where you're starting to feel that you're not as happy as you once were, that you're having difficulty just functioning from day to day, I would definitely highly encourage you to begin considering seeing a primary care physician or a psychiatrist, and even contacting your therapist. I'm sure that they can provide some referrals and can let you know some options in terms of making sure that you are feeling balanced and you're feeling well. A lot of times people start to determine that, maybe it's not depression, but maybe you're not getting the most effective sleep. So if you start to see some of the recommendations I mentioned earlier in terms of, limiting an amount of TV that you are watching before you go to bed, or making sure you don't eat and then immediately go to sleep, because again, that could cause digestive issues and things of that nature. But also, you might want to consider maybe if you have some issues in your sleep. So something that is really common is sleep apnea. When people are having difficulty catching their breath when they're waking up, or they find themselves not feeling like they're getting quality sleep, that is also something that is to consider. And I would definitely recommend contacting your doctor if you are concerned about your sleep. They can do sleep studies. They can really determine if that might be an issue. Stress is one of those things. If you are not set up for success outside of the areas that cause you the stress the most, so that can be anything from a job, it can be a business, it can be an organization, an activity. If you are not set up in your own sacred space, which that can be your home, that can be going to the gym, that could be going to church, that could be going to the therapist. If you're not doing something that is setting you up to be able to recharge, then you are always going to be just functioning, right? I'm hanging in there. People ask you how you doing. Oh, I'm just making it. I'm trying to deal with it one day at a time. And that is not a good way to be. We have this mantra, living our best lives. We want everybody to live their best lives, and that means sometimes we have to start evaluating what are the things that's in our life that could potentially be causing us stress, right? And so I definitely encourage you, particularly with the sleep, if you begin to start having issues around that, and you maybe want to search for if you maybe have sleep apnea, or if you have some issues in terms of your sleep, definitely contact your doctor. But one of the final things I want to mention that I think it is so highly important, and I think that a lot of us don't consider, is if there are things that's causing you stress, if they're not bringing you happiness, if you feel miserable, if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel in some of the things that you're involved with, it is also good to consider removing yourself or taking some time off. So I mentioned taking some time off earlier, and I meant it in the work sense. Sometimes we need to get off of social media and things like that, but I did not mention when it comes to the things that we're involved with. Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs that time to regroup. Just like our phone, like our laptops, anything that requires a charge. If you continue to keep running a technology of any sort, when the battery starts dying and it blinks, or it makes a noise, or it starts to get dim, like it's not as bright as it once was, you have to put it on the charger, right? And if you don't put it on the charger, what happens? It doesn't work. Same thing with us as human beings. If we don't do the things that is needed to recharge us, most of the time people think of, diet. It's all about your diet. It's all about exercise. It's all about getting the right amount of sleep. But it's about your mental health as well, because you could be doing all those things and still feel miserable. Okay, and let's be transparent with each other. A lot of us deal with that. A lot of us are very active people. We work out. We eat the right foods. We set up and have a whole nighttime routine, and it's really relaxing and wonderful, and we get good sleep, but we still are unsatisfied. That is stress provoking. It might be time to consider what is around you that could be causing you this stress. And let's keep it completely honest here. Many of our stressors are coming from our jobs. are coming from our relationships, are coming from our involvements. Many of us are dealing with that type of stress and are dealing with a many of different things. And it's time to assess if those things are doing for us as we thought that they were doing initially. Many of us grow out of different things that we're involved with. You can say, you know, I'm growing out of this relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic involvement. Maybe it's time to reconsider the type of job you have, if it's going part-time, if it's going as needed, if it's switching careers. Maybe if you're a parent and you're just overwhelmed with being a parent, it's time to kind of evaluate, like, okay, do I need to kind of take a break, and what does that break mean? And well, what if I'm a single parent and I don't have time to take a break? What are things that you can do at home to ensure that you're taking care of yourself? Many of us have to start evaluating those things on our own, of what are things in our lives that is causing us more stress than maybe it's worth any longer. Not saying that the relationship isn't worth it anymore, or the kids isn't worth it anymore. That's not my intent at all. But definitely there are some things in your life that you have to start readjusting or rethinking how you kind of navigate and maneuver the day-to-day in a lot of these situations. All of us need time to regroup. It's almost halfway through the year, if you can believe it. And a lot of people start getting stressed around this time of year because either they are in kind of considering, like, you know, what have I been doing the past almost 6 months, and it's, you know, I got 6 more months to the end of the year and I have some goals I haven't met yet, or I haven't been able to do some of the certain things as far as, you know, this time of year, and I'm used to doing X, Y, and Z by this point. I think it's definitely something that sometimes we forget, and time moves by so quickly that we can be in the thick of just managing our daily routine so much that we get stressed and overwhelmed. And so I hope that this live provided some type of tool for you, some type of idea of some things that you can start implementing in your life that can be helpful. I know that, you know, again, it could be such a time for many of us. Many people are just going through so many things right now. And I definitely want to take this opportunity to encourage you to never give up. I know that that is such a cliche. You know, people say that, but it's like, but I'm at that place of giving up. I'm at that place that I'm overwhelmed. It's too much, right? I hope that you know that you are worth taking a break. I hope that you know that you need to take a break, and you need to do what's necessary to care for yourself, because if you don't, just like if you don't charge your phone, you are going to eventually stop working. Okay, you're not going to be able to function. You are going to always be walking around kind of with this cloud of sadness, not feeling like you have enough energy, and you're not going to be no good for nobody, and most importantly, you're not going to be good for yourself. And so I hope this is helpful. I will definitely encourage you to share these tips with your friends and your loved ones. If you have any questions about how to manage stress, I will highly encourage you to seek out a mental health professional in your area. Vision of Promise LLC's counseling division is actually housed in Kentucky. And so if you are in the Kentucky area and you are looking for a therapist or a counselor, definitely reach out to us. You can go on our website, www.thevisionofpromise.com. If you are just looking for some quick tips throughout the day, wherever you are in the country or in the world, definitely follow us on social media. Our Facebook and Instagram pages are Vision of Promise LLC. If you are in Kentucky, I'll be happy to have you, happy to answer any questions that you have. We will definitely do whatever we can to support everyone when it comes to their wellness. Again, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We're wrapping up the month of May, and I'm so excited and so encouraged that we're talking more about mental health services, but the reality is that it's still such a stigmatizing topic for a lot of people. And so even if it's just watching this live, even if it's just watching our other lives that are available through our Facebook page, definitely take those tips and tools and figure out, what do you need. Support is so important when you're dealing with stress. You need to make sure that you have a good support system, whether it's family, friends, loved ones. I am a big proponent of therapy and counseling, not just because I'm a therapist myself, but because therapy has been such a crucial benefit in my life and in the lives of those that I love. And so I definitely would encourage you to seek out those services whenever you feel like that you are feeling stressed. But then also, I think it's important too that even when you're not at that place of I'm just throwing in the towel, it's just too much, even if you just need just a quick tune-up. Many of us wait until the last minute when things are just completely and too overwhelming to move forward to actually seek out services. And the reality is, if you know that you are in a high stress environment, if you're in a high stress industry when it comes to your work, if you're a caregiver, if you're a parent, these are automatic stressors. And so I think it's very important to find self-care activities, find a therapist or counselor that you can see on a regular basis that can be able to assist you with the things that you need. So again, I hope that this was helpful. You're more than welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions at thevisionofpromise@gmail.com. Again, you can also go on our website, www.thevisionofpromise.com. And you're welcome to, again, like our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. It's free resources on there. Facebook, we have several lives on several different topics that you can just press and you'll be on the go. You can do it while you're doing some housework or while you're in your car, while you're going from place to place. But definitely just fuel yourself with the things that matter. And again, we are so appreciative for you joining today. Thank you so very much for taking out time, whether you are live or you are watching the replay. Tune in next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is our final Mental Health Awareness Month broadcast. We're going to be talking about anxiety. Now, I mentioned anxiety a little bit in this broadcast, but we'll be diving in deep. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a word that gets thrown around a whole lot. People don't know what it looks like. What is it? How do you get it? How do you treat it? What do you do to try to prevent it? All these things that we're going to be talking about next week. So tune in, same time, same station, 1:15 p.m. Eastern time next Wednesday. And even if you're not able to, whether you're at work or you have other obligations, please know that our broadcasts are also available for replay after the live. And so you are more than welcome to replay it at any point in time. You can replay it several times. And of course, you could always share our Facebook page and our Instagram pages, as well as the resources that we provide. So thank you again so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And it's Wellness Wednesday, so make sure that you're doing something today to take care of yourself, okay? We will chat again soon. Have a good one.